Hello, let me see if it works. Yeah, it seems to work. Great. So, welcome to another episode of your weekly dose of Terraform. My name is Anton Babienko. And, well, first of all, I apologize for not having possibility to make episode last time, but I had vaccination and it hit me badly, so now I'm back into business and, well, that's how it is. It's a bit challenging to schedule something and then your plan may be kind of broken. Well, that's now all good. Let me see. Okay, good. So, well, let me do the following. So first of all, today for the first time in more than a year, I don't have M0 t-shirt. Well, that's not because I'm out of t-shirts. No, I have still them. I just want to switch focus to slightly different things with these live stream sessions, which I have every Friday. And from now on, I will slowly transition it, and hopefully you guys will be able to provide me feedback, and well, it should work out nicely at the end. So thanks again for all of the followers and everyone who was providing this feedback over a long period of time. But as you can guess, this is AWS t-shirt. No, that's not because I'm joining AWS. I'm not joining AWS other than I'm going to AWS reInvent. So if you are going to AWS reInvent and want to say hi, we can meet there and have a nice conversation. So I have just planned everything and purchased tickets, and now I'm excitedly looking forward to be there 28th or 29th of November. Okay, let's see. I have a few other things which has happened during this week. So this is a new header which was created by a graphic designer who's still working on some other things, like all of these covers, images for all of previous videos. If you have feedback, please provide feedback, and I want to know what you guys think, because I have two different types of headers, and it's impossible for me to figure out which one is best. So please tell me if you like this one or not. I will swap another one in about a week and see what you guys think about it. And well, you know that I am, well, my name is Anton Babienko, as I told earlier, and I think you can see this quite obviously from many places. The name of the challenge is Your Weekly Dose of Terraform, where I have interviews with creators, do tool reviews and live coding, which will be the main part of today's episode. I'm also CEO of the company called BetaJob, where we provide services related to Terraform, AWS, DevOps, consultant training, and so on. Also, there is product which is called Modules TF. The slogan is Your Infrastructure as Code. You will hear about this in the near future much more. And serverless TF for people who want to do serverless with Terraform. And as many of you know, Terraform AWS modules is what I do pretty much for a living. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, also weekly TF, Terraform weekly newsletter is coming out nicely every week. There are a lot of people subscribing to subscribing pretty much steadily. I'm quite happy with that. Sometimes I have interesting discussions with people who say like, oh, we don't like the content which you publish, or we like content which you publish, or why there is no stuff about Azure, or something like that. So please keep it going. If you like, if you dislike, well, if you dislike it, of course, be in minority. I can tell you that you will be in very small group. If you click, did you enjoy this issue? No. So feel free to click this one, but provide feedback, okay? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Subscribe to this one, and okay, that's why Some people may think like, oh, that's bad place because I'm using AWS CloudFormation and there are articles like this. Well, I'm representing whatever I find interesting. So if there is an interesting piece of content talking about something what Terraform users should know about, I will share it. If it's about AWS or against AWS, I don't really care because I'm not employed by any of these companies. And that's a luxury which I have. So for the next episodes, like literally next week, I'm going to have Victor Farsic, who is a well-known guy in all of this Kubernetes and DevOps community. And I will do kind of investigation and research and what is actually a Crossplane versus Terraform. So Crossplane is a pretty popular project, I would say, in the Terraform ecosystem already. But it has some overlap with Terraform and with subjects which we are going to go through today. So join next week, and I and Victor will be talking about Crossplane, and I'm sure that all of us will learn something new. I'm not familiar with Crossplane yet, so it will be my first look into Crossplane, and I will try to present it from my point of view. Also next month, in a month, I will have an episode with Spacelift where I will look into their product and I will try to understand whether this is something good, bad, great, perfect, fantastic, exceptional, terrible, and so on. There will be someone from Spacelift, so if you have questions about how to run Terraform in automation or about certain features of Spacelift, make sure to check this out as well. It will be 5th of November, also Friday. So yeah, that's it's going to be quite interesting because they have a lot of features, a lot of overlap with other tools which I have reviewed in the past, like Env0, Scalar. They have been in this field for quite some time. So I'm looking forward to know more about what they do myself and how some of these features are different. So that's about it. And again, if you want to support my work, feel free to do this. You can share all of the content which you discover, or I can move my green background. No, yeah, like this, so that you don't see all the trash which I have behind my wall. So yeah, GitHub sponsors is the best way. And feel free to share content, or if you want to know more about certain tools, there are a couple playlists for tools and one for live coding. Yeah, that's it. So the repository is in my GitHub account, Anton Babenko, and then Terraform-AWS-DevOps. Okay, so before I go, well, I'm already 10 minutes into the stream. And well, this is widescreen. I want to make one small kind of side track, or I want to talk about Terraform AWS Cloud Control Provider. So some of you, well, let me start from the official news, right? It should be official one. So we go to this blog post which was released a week ago. Okay, so what I want to iterate on. First of all, I'm not gonna to provide any like comprehensive analysis of what's going on, whether this is good, bad, or so on. I'm just gonna to express my feelings in this field because I think it's quite interesting direction where things are heading. First of all, I anticipated this move myself for quite some time because, well, quite easy to understand that traditional approach was not sufficient enough. But let me explain that this approach is not sufficient enough either. And I will try to explain it in like literally 5-10 minutes. So AWS Cloud Control API was released a week ago. In essence, what it means is that AWS figured out that, hey, we have a lot of teams, a lot of projects, a lot of features coming up every week. So what do we want people to have? Well, we want people to do CRUD operations on all of our resources which are available. Great. How can we do this? Well, we can use SDK. We publish SDK, and then there is another tool which is CloudFormation. So we need to publish it into SDK and into CloudFormation. Wouldn't it be better if we just let developers or let individual team to manage it in one place? So that's where interesting things started. So the teams are now providing this unified resource model using JSON, where they describe, well, not using JSON, where they describe how their service has to react. So they implement it in fewer places. So when team A wants to release feature, they go and apply it in one place, and that's it. Then it will be picked up by other tools. So this article is not about other tools. But then let's talk about Terraform and what are the relation between Terraform and AWS Cloud Control API. So as I said, Terraform AWS provider historically was growing or was having more requests and more demand than developers were able to fix issues, add new resources, and so on. So obviously there has to be some way of improving that. And one way was, which I was expecting it to be, was pretty much code generation of Terraform provider, similar how Magic Module is doing it. Or another one is actually introducing another abstraction by AWS, which Terraform can natively integrate, and they don't have to write a lot of code themselves. So that's what this integration is about. So Terraform AWS Cloud Control Provider allows developers to have support for latest features and latest services potentially faster. Potentially here is the keyword. So where the data will be coming from? Well, the data has to be, I mean, not data, but features and services. They have to be coming from CloudFormation public registry. Well, I know that pretty much none of you knew about CloudFormation public registry until this point. I knew that it exists, but I never ever looked into it myself. So before this stream, I look into, okay, what kind of resources are supported? Great, I look into Cloud Control API documentation, and then I look into supported resources. Great, you can see, oh my God, there are a lot of resources. Probably they support something what is not supported by Terraform. What can be like this type of resource? Let me guess, it's Chime. Chime is not supported. Well, for those who don't know what is Chime, Chime is like Zoom, but by AWS, for AWS, and it works nicely within AWS. That's pretty much it. Outside of AWS is not very well known, and well, I use it exclusively when I have to talk to AWS employees, because it just doesn't work. It's very hard to convince other people to use it for, well, if you're not talking to AWS employees. So why I'm highlighting the Chime example? Chime example is, well, Chime service is one of these services which existed for pretty long time, but you probably was thinking like, hey, I can manage something what was not possible to manage. And Chime is one example which is not there. There are many other examples. I'm quite sure, I just don't remember name of this, what was it, blockchain QLDB, yeah, well, QLDB stream. I guess there are more resources than just QLDB stream, but I may be wrong. But in general, think about this as where new features will be added from now on. Okay, developers release something, let's say they make a feature inside of AWS or service. Then they go and say, hey, we need to public our Cloud Control API to be able to expose our service to the rest, right? So they have to change something inside of the definition of Cloud Control API specification somewhere, somehow. Then it will be picked up by this service and it will be listed here. Great. So what else has to happen? As soon as this information is added into Cloud Control API, it will be pretty much automatically available and discoverable by AWS CLI, and quite naturally, or rather soon, it will be picked up by AWSCC provider by HashiCorp. Currently it is on early version 0.2 and there are a few bugs. But if you look into this even further, okay, I want to use feature which was released by AWS yesterday. When will I be able to use it? And the answer is there is absolutely no guarantee that you will be able to use it in the near future, because before that I told about AWS CloudFormation registry. Yes, AWS CloudFormation registry, Amazon will publish extensions. So Amazon will publish extensions and they will be always public. There is also a way to have third-party public extensions, private extensions. Cool. So you think like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And then you have to think about how does this extension look like? What exactly this extension will be utilizing, right? And that's where a lot of question, like from my side, started. Isn't it a catch-22 situation where in order to use something from CloudFormation registry, and if it's not supported in any of this public way, you still need to fall back to creating custom resources in the CloudFormation. And creating CloudFormation custom resources is pretty much not as straightforward as going to Terraform documentation and getting a ready-made snippet for you. So you will have to go and do something yourself if you want to have support in Terraform as well. So first, you need to, well, that's a little bit far-fetched, but still you need to understand how to write CloudFormation custom extension or custom resource types. Then you will be able to expose it to AWSCC provider. Then not to CC provider, to Amazon Cloud Control API. Then AWSCC provider by HashiCorp will be able to fetch this information and it will understand how to deal with this certain structure. The timeline here is not shortened by any means. The timeline is probably exactly the same. The only benefit here is that most likely it will be developers who are developing that service on AWS will have to do work in fewer places. So they don't have to struggle with CloudFormation and AWSCC and how to write for two of these platforms. They just have to do this for one. In reality, you may end up with writing something like this, where you need to come up with your own types, and you need to think about what does this magic actually look, and do the rest of it. Like literally, well, that's probably a little bit wrong example, but still, is it for that one? No, that's not for that one, sorry. But anyway, the point is that you will have to know much more than just go to documentation here, and it looks pretty cool, right? You go here, you go to resources, you find a resource which you think is improved. Like I randomly clicked here, it was CloudFront distribution, and I was like, wow, cool, I can use CloudFront distribution. And I look into this list, and then this was, I thought like, is it CNAME but in Spanish? No, then I figure out that it's just a wrong conversion type. But anyway, the point is that this stuff is auto-generated for you. most likely you will be able to get started quite easily. Like literally, you can use AWS CC provider and write Terraform configuration quite nicely. But whether you want to, like, what will you be able to accomplish with that, and what to do with your existing infrastructure, that's a big question. I'm not looking forward for sure to rewrite any of Terraform AWS module into AWS CC, like by any means. I mean, don't even ask me to think about going from one thing to another one without giving me 100% of tools for that. And I don't think tools will exist. So literally, if you want to create CloudFormation distribution, well, you can probably figure out this quite easily. So obviously documentation is not quite there yet, but still it has a lot of information which is needed for schema. You can guess what kind of stuff is it by name. And well, that's pretty much it. I'm sure that this will be improved more and more, but right now you just have to be very careful when you hear announcements. And I know that I sound very often very pessimistic, but well, that's who am I? I read these announcements and I always divide whatever I read by 10, even if people say like, oh my god, that's awesome. No, it's not awesome until you read these small footprints, think about it, and even try to make it like for real. I didn't try to spin up anything here just because I don't need or I don't have time, but I'm quite sure that this is not a silver bullet which will help us in the near future. Hello, Nicola. Let me have your question or your statement here. I have struggles convincing my team lead that Terraform is much better to use comparing to AWS CDK CloudFormation. He's just not buying it. Not sure what would be a proper way for me to convince him. Well, yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. We don't need to have another tool in this field. We probably need to just understand what do we want to do and what are existing options. Don't give me just another option like it was. The point of Terraform is there is large, like literally very large amount of modules already available. I know that there are similar things going on with AWS CDK, almost, well, not almost, but you can find some collection of CloudFormation templates. But combination of flexibility plus existing modules is key for any company to adopt Terraform. If you want to, let me just find this article because I think it's kind of cool to send to people who are still thinking about CloudFormation. Here is it. So it's called "Do Not Use AWS CloudFormation." I read this one myself, like very carefully before I posted it, and I agree to a large amount of these things myself because I've been to this situation. So this article is describing the journey of the author from 2017 until 2021, where things, so in 2017, he was like, oh yeah, CloudFormation probably good. And then he's going into details and why it is not so good. And he highlights a lot of points here. So Nicola, I encourage you to check this one out and share with your team and have a pretty decent discussion about that. There are still a lot of challenges, but as everything we do is rather greenfield. But what's even more interesting is that it shouldn't be so greenfield anymore. There are a lot of established practices, a lot of established solutions for, well, 90% of tasks. So Yeah, this article should help you quite significantly. And I don't think this article mentioned anything about Kubernetes. No, that's not. So that's good. So this article is really like, it's not talking about abstract things which are impossible to compare. Like if you drop Kubernetes in the discussion, then somebody will say like, oh yeah, but you didn't use this service, this feature, it's awesome. And then you like lost the battle, because you will be comparing pretty wrong entities again. So it's better to just look into what are these tools supposed to be doing, and you can see how they are different just by observing facts. AWS CDK is not something what I can like literally recommend myself, because I don't honestly believe into that approach. That approach was started because CloudFormation sucked. That's it. It's not because people say like, oh, we want to use programming language to describe our infrastructure. It has never been the case. It was always just the case that, oh my God, I don't want to use this magic YAML or JSON syntax. What can I do? How can I generate my CloudFormation templates? And then people start to come up with Spectre, Fog back then, and then guys implemented this cross-compiling into JavaScript, to other programming languages, and that's where it started. But it was never the case that people were like, I love CloudFormation, give me something even better than that. It was like, it sucked, but my boss wanted to use CloudFormation, so what can we do? We can make AWS CDK. Well, similar situation to my mind is happening with Terraform for CDK, or CDK for Terraform. I never understand this name, but well, I think it's for another time. Greetings from Serbia. Well, now I have to say something in Serbian, but I have no clue how to say it. So, hello to you too. Great. Okay, let's move on. So this article is must read for everyone who has any discussion about CloudFormation versus Terraform. And also I put this article by Nikki, which is again from 2017, but I still find it very, very instructive, that instead of finding just another tool or just another approach, try to look into the problem which you wanted to solve. And I can tell you that now I work on a product where I also do similar direction I took, which initially was not perfect, because I also looked into like, hey, this feature is good, that feature is good, let's do that. But then I looked even closer into what kind of problems do I want to get solved, and then I deleted a lot of stuff because it looked cool, but it was not the solution for the problems, but it looked really cool. Okay, let's move on. So let's see. I close all of this stuff. I close this. So now let's do something useful. Okay, I already half hour in the stream. Let's see. So I don't know why I don't see anything here. Let's reload. Hopefully it will work. So today I want to work. No, it says it wants to. Interesting. Yeah, okay. I reloaded and it helps. Greeting from Bangladesh. Hello, Al-Amin. Do you think CDK was just Amazon's way to bypass infrastructure team and let developers spin up resources to make more money? Well, no, I don't think this was the case. Though I clearly understand that everybody wants to earn money on this. I think well, it's Amazon's way to bypass infrastructure team. No, I think it was created primarily for the problem. As I said, CloudFormation existed, but it was hard and very hard to use it for anything real. Like, yes, you can spin up something, but then when you want to make it in pipeline with some checks, with some customization, then things start to become very complicated. And I think that introducing programming languages support was primarily by accident. It was not on purpose. And again, I don't think that developers will come in and say like, I want to have Java support to describe my infrastructure. Well, maybe a couple people said it, but I don't think it was a majority of people who said like, oh my god, it's so hard to learn like any programming language which you give to us, so we will not use this tool. So programming language, if they would pick up any of these existing programming languages, most likely Python or Ruby, people would be still happy. But the general direction by convincing people that they need this stuff is something what I observe pretty often right now in the industry. Like, you don't need a lot of these shiny things and shiny products and startups which you hear about daily, including CDK, Terraform for CDK, and many other, like pretty much the half of CNCF. I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. Yeah, of course, you can argue with this and say like, how would you solve problem X if there wouldn't be project Y? Like, yeah, well, maybe for just some things you can use it, but now it's like we have a proverb saying mushrooms after rain. So people say like one technology and then 10 startups spin up. What is even more funny is that amount of competitors who are thinking like, oh, there is Amazon CDK, we should come up with something better than that. And they, without understanding the premise of why it started, they start their own stuff, which absolutely has no backbone, no users behind it. And then they just close down the whole business pretty easily. So that's why I strongly believe in Terraform modules. They exist, they do the purpose. Yes, we need some things around this. As I said, many companies are working in this field, including myself. I do some invisible work currently to make this process easier. But it's not existing solution like CDK is not something what people really wanted. I mean, yes, people wanted because they couldn't figure out how to deal with CloudFormation. Any thoughts on Pulumi? Well, I don't think I have time to go through that, sorry, but yes, I have definitely thoughts on Pulumi, and I hope to have some guys from Pulumi one day to talk about this. I see that my hair is not straight. Now it's better. Okay, jokes aside, so Pulumi is for another time, sorry. Let's do something useful, because this episode was supposed to be about EKS module, and I've been talking about different things, but not about EKS. Okay, so what is this about? Well, big thanks to David, who is doing a great job answering all of these questions on EKS module and issues and pull requests. So he's doing really superb job in helping with the with existence of this module. Frankly speaking, if there wouldn't be a person like David, this module would be already kaput. Like, I'm not joking, kaput completely. Well, actually 50% are true. Another 50% are true. If we wouldn't have Stalebot, who is doing a lot of aggressive closing of inactive PRs and issues, this would be also kaput. Why so? Because it allows us to prioritize. We are very few people right now on this module. We don't have enough understanding of many questions which people raise. So that's why for us it's just easier to say like, sorry, but you didn't provide us feedback in time. We are not gonna to have this issue open forever, and we close it. Sometimes people disagree and they ask to reopen it, and then we continue it. But again, this stuff is completely open source, and and that's how it is. So recently, David looked into examples, and he did some refactoring. EKS is headache. Well, thank you for valuable feedback. But yes, it is a headache from several kind of points. So first of all, it is a headache for the end users because it's magic, which is hard to understand. And second, it's headache because the way how code was written is rather hard to evaluate and improve as well. So I want to look into this pull request and see if and leave some comments about it. I'll primarily do code review or pull request review, and then we'll see if I have time for something else. If you have other feedback on EKS module specifically, so please leave a comment. It was a bigger headache 3 years ago. Well, absolutely, we are in the right direction. I mean, 3 years ago, we had issues with Terraform, with EKS, with Kubernetes, with everything in this field. Now things are getting better and better. And I tend to think about AWSCC provider, which I've discussed earlier, as organic continuation of this process. It's not something what we have to just adopt immediately. But we have to look into this and think like, is this something what will help us to go to the right direction? Yes or no? And we can start maybe discussing it. But in general, we are in the right time, in the right field. As long as there is at least some value for what we do, I will be quite happy. So examples are created to help users understand and build EKS cluster using this module. Examples are helpful for some proof of concept build and are focusing on showing usage different possibilities. Well, not always the case. Examples are not just proof of concept. Examples is our way of testing that feature actually works as expected. There are some discussion. Let me put it here. We worked with multiple deployments over the years, but every time we had to revisit it, we had challenges. And then you get the mix of people deploying with Helm and with Terraform. Yeah, well, that's how it is. Deploying something on EKS with Terraform is absolutely not, I wouldn't say that it's not recommended. I mean, maybe you like challenges. So it's not the most obvious way, I would say. So yeah, deploying with Helm and with Terraform or with any other tool out there is still an option. That's why we don't have one tool which is like leader, but we have 10 tools which are leaders. After the 1.0.0 Terraform release, do you think it's still worth using Terragrunt? Oh yeah, I like this question very much. Unfortunately, I don't have time to prepare. Maybe I will do something. I want to discuss and want to start to think critically. Do we actually need Terragrunt? Like, this is more like provocative question. I have about 10 different points why you should not be using Terragrunt. and I think they're quite convincing, and I can show how to do this without, but it requires a lot of investment from my time to prepare down to the ground examples, not some abstract things which I sometimes experience on different projects. So the current answer to your question is after 1.0.0, yes, we still unfortunately have to use Terragrunt. But I mean, what means unfortunately? It's not problem of Terragrunt. But I would rather not use anything else than just Terraform apply. And currently, it's not very easy to avoid Terragrunt features. Yes, you don't need many of those features, I understand. And some of those features are sometimes changing in behavior or getting even more complexity. So for the time being, if you use Terragrunt already, yes, you will have to use it for the foreseen future, but well, I don't know when exactly. I expect that there will be more people looking into other direction, like well, TerraSpace is one of lightweight example of how things can be done, but it's still not something what I completely advocate for. So I don't know if I answered your question honestly, Yuri. But the module helped us quite a bit accelerating our progress. Well, that's the purpose of module. And frankly speaking, in 99%, maybe 98% of all projects for all customers where I worked, I have used Terraform AWS modules without customization, and that's it. Like when people say it helped something, or we took inspiration, or we did something on top of that, or we customized something. Well, I didn't do this for pretty much 4 years. Of course, I wrote some custom logic on top of it for specific use cases, but it was very, very seldom needed. So yeah, you can do a lot of things using these modules out of the box. I mean, we deployed this EKS module as is, without any wrappers or any external orchestration, well, together with a bunch of other services like ranchers in different regions and so on, and it works fine. So yeah, okay, let's look. Examples are created. Well, first of all, I don't know why there is file called examples readme, because it's kind of obvious that this is would be very interesting to listen downsides of Terragrunt with details, please. I remember the time when you told people don't use Terraform. Exactly, and that's how sometimes I'm flexible. It's like, if people come to me and say like, oh, we want to use Terraform, and then they give like 20 issues which Terraform solving to them, and they sound like they actually know what they're talking about, not just by reading marketing material of the first page in documentation, which usually says easy to get started. Yes, but I'm not gonna to be happy if I just create it once. I will need to live with it forever, like evolve it and so on. So the same with Terragrunt. If people say like, oh, we developed our solution and now we understand how these 20 levels of inheritance work, great. I mean, you will not be able to remove it so easily. So yeah, for many use cases right now, with current situation, with current tooling, Terragrunt is still a very decent option. But if you have a very good reason and very good understanding of what you want to achieve with Terraform, and you can substitute some of Terragrunt logic with some shell scripts around it, you'll be pretty good too. For example, most of CI or most of Terraform automation platform will not execute Terragrunt so easily. You will have to do some hacks, some tweaks, you will have to generate some extra configs, some dynamic data will be floating around. So it's really challenging to do it like for forever. So that's why, well, it depends who is asking. Like literally, if you say like you already use Terragrunt and you are quite happy, and then you explain that your infrastructure is like, oh my god, it's so complicated that great, you just got job security. You will have to manage this Terragrunt for the next couple years. Well, yeah, a couple years I think is a good time, because then it will be rewritten into something else. But if you use Terraform, well, then you will be able to live with it for slightly longer. The biggest missing part, I would say, is developer experience in Terraform is far from what people actually wanted. That's why people fall back to countless options and try to minimize their code repetition. Try to explain to people that they have to declare variables and outputs inside of modules as well as outside of modules, like in the root module and in the child module. I mean, if you are familiar with Terraform, you take it as granted. But for other cases, you may think like, why do I need to do this? I have been trying to explain this to system administrators not more than once, and it was far from obvious for them to understand. So yeah, that's I will think when I can do this, maybe when I have to travel somewhere and maybe speak at conference, then I will do this. Okay, so examples should not be used for production deployments. Why not? I mean, I'm kidding, but examples were designed and were created, as I said, primarily to have possibility for us to test certain feature. So if I go to complete, I expect to have a lot of resources, a lot of complicated scenarios covered there. And if I go to bottle rocket, then I expect to see just features related to how to spin up AWS EKS using bottle rocket. So I don't think we need this explanation here at all. Also, people can go to Terraform documentation and they can read it there. But yeah, each example is independent, that's true. Each example requires some generic resource like VPC, blah, 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 which is embedded into standard generic file. The file is exactly the same across all examples. Well, this is magic which has to be avoided. There has to be just one main TF. I mean, not has to, but I really like when we have the same the same structure across all modules. And EKS historically was one of where people wanted to do something different. Why? I have no clue. But it shouldn't be this way. Okay, so bootstrap is removed. Yeah, that was my experiment, which I agree it's not needed here. Bottle rocket. This example, bottle rocket example. It's okay to leave more search engine optimization inside of Markdown. People can find it on Google. So I don't know why this is necessary. And this is EKS example. Well, this is sentence, but the configuration in this directory creates something. Okay, generic TF. Generic TF, we normally put this inside of we normally put it inside of main TF on the bottom. This one is wrong because it will only go from 370 to 3799. which is should be, well, yeah, I can do this, of course. Well, my computer is so slow, I will not be surprised that it just hangs like this. So that's why we are testing against latest version inside of Major 3 release. Start review, and well, yeah, apparently my computer just froze. No, it's okay. Well, this is not gonna to work too. Who can guess when this will not work? Line 24. Any ideas? If there are 4 AZS. Leave for previously there was for loop to iterate and to calculate cedar ranges for that, as it was. Okay, let's see examples. The reason why I have this new line after certain blocks, just to separate that, hey, this is source, I mean, this is a meta argument of the module block. This is something about clustering. This is something about network. This is something about configuration for this cluster. So that's why it is separated. Cluster version. Well, yeah, I need to look into this in details. Well, another thing here, variables. We should not ask users to customize examples by any means. If they want to customize it, they can do changes as is without understanding of where this variable is coming from. So that's why we have to avoid using variables inside of example and try to write example in a way that everything is fetched using your current configuration. For example, region. Okay, region has to be, region can be fetched from either your environment variable or it can be hard-coded using locals. Example name. I don't expect people to customize this in any way, as well as cluster version. It will just look strange if you allow user to customize cluster version inside of example. What if I put 99.54? Suddenly it stopped working. But that's why cluster version should not be customizable here at all. Regions can be, but again, region, we always have it inside of locals. So there is no need to have anything inside of variables in examples. Kubernetes 2.0.0. Well, we usually put 2.0, and that's enough, as well as here. So last patch version, we never care about it. Complete example again, complete blah 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 cluster, what it creates. That's exactly the point of good Terraform module, is that you explain what's going to happen instead of just hiding and say like, hey, this example, so I completely against removing all of this human-friendly text. Complete example. Well, what complete? What example? what's gonna to create it. Here people can read and they can see, oh, okay, Fargate, cool, and I have question about Fargate, so let me look into this example because here Fargate is mentioned and probably it's configured. So that's important. Complete. Let's see what's next here. Well, I will leave these comments after the stream so that I don't have to take time. But this one is the same. I commented earlier. All right. What's new inside of local provider? What we need? It was 1.4, now it's 2.0. Why? It's not obvious. I don't know what's new. Kubernetes 2.0, that's good, because obviously it didn't work with 1.11 before. I knew that, but I just didn't change. And the same here. I mean, this text actually explains what's happening, like why it was created, what kind of modules are used. And this is wrong. I mean, this you can see in many other. Can you see me? Interesting. Because I can see myself. I froze. Well, it's interesting. Okay, let's see what I have. So, hello. Well, that's interesting because my camera apparently is not happy and I cannot change it. Yeah. Yeah, but can you hear me? I see that camera froze, but I don't know if you can hear me. No? It's pretty funny. Yeah, the whole streaming software is frozen now. But yeah, that's how cool. Okay, then then I will just remove myself from here because yeah, I'm really thoughtful pause. So yeah, I don't know what to do next. Anyway, yeah, that sounds is good, so let me continue then. Sorry, that's it. Okay, so this example, again, description is one of the most important part in adoption of Terraform AWS modules. Again, as with everything what developers write, when you write code, you think about this code and this is obvious, why I should document it. Then you open pull request and you review your stuff and you think like, oh my god, somebody will be reading this and they have no clue why I came up to this conclusion. And then you are thinking about this README thing. For me, it took a lot of time to think about the structure of README files and why I put them in sometimes detailed way, because, well, people will be reading it. And sometimes people with different understanding of the system will be reading it too. So that's it. Good. Let's move on to the next one. What's new here? Well, not much. Not much here. I mean, it's good. There is nothing bad about it. Good. But again, all of this stuff has to be removed from here. It has to be locals. Instance refresh example. This is EKS example using instance refresh feature. Does anyone know what is instance refresh feature means? Great. So then you put it into Google, you find documentation about the EC2 instance refresh feature and link it here. You'll be surprised how many people will learn about Terraform, Kubernetes, EKS, and instance refresh feature in one place. All of these cross links make a lot of sense. To run this example, well, that's good. And again, the same stuff. So yeah, instance refresh. So something here. Again, some versions. This version has to be part of example. So yeah, we'll have to update it. Same here, IRSA example. I didn't know what IRSA means before I looked into, well, before I saw it for the first time. And then I look, okay, what does IRSA mean? It's IAM roles for service accounts. It's the same situation as when people try to use as many English words as possible when they speak Russian or Ukrainian. I don't like this at all. I mean, it means that you cannot use your language properly. Same here. Why encrypt everything? Try to be verbose here. This is a place where you can be verbose. Not in Terraform configuration, but here. Okay, to run this example, you execute. Well, yeah, you execute, but what about this one? Shouldn't people do something after they check that nodes are ready? Well, maybe they don't care about it. Anyway, that's a good enough example to show to people that they have to always just run Terraform, plan apply, and have it created. This one was deleted completely. I need to think why it was deleted. Maybe it was not needed. Okay, next thing here. What is it? Oh, yeah. Good. Same here. It's a 460, but it's our module. So we can, or we should, try to use ranges. Otherwise, it's pretty hard for us to test ranges. So that's why it has to be tilde more 4.0, because we want to check version 4.7, 4.8, and so on, but not 5, for example. So this is the same. Launch template example. Launch template example. Too boring to look into these examples, to be honest. I was expecting to see some fun and some crazy things, but not much. Oh, okay. Same here. Why to have it here? Remove. I recently met one guy who has in profile description, I like to remove code. And then I look into who was he, and then I figure out, we worked in the same community before. It was PHP Symfony community. So yeah, I also like to remove a lot of things. Okay, well, pretty similar changes all over, I have to say. I don't see anything so different. Yeah, this one is a bit important to understand where this description currently is in use. Well, currently it's in use only in one place, inside of Terraform docs documentation, which is automatically generated. If you read this sentence alone, doesn't give you enough information. Well, first part, yes, but second one, no, because I have no clue what is examples, secrets, encryption, variables, TF. The right way to do here has to be that only first part is necessary, and the rest can be C examples for more, which is again quite obvious, or it can be like in this case. This is pretty good example here. Additional IAM roles to add to AWS auth config map. see examples. For example, format is not needed because this is already a format. So that's not needed here at all. And again, if you see this message outside, for example, where can you see it as well? If you run Terraform apply and don't specify it, will you see it? No, you will not see it because it already has default. So it's a developer experience problem in Terraform, I would say. Some information here is inside of Terraform code, but it's not actually visible to users in enough places. Well, I will write all of these things now, and well, after the stream, there is not much to do in this regards. So I think this PR in general was pretty good, except small things which has to be updated. Last thing, well, this one also doesn't work. I don't know why. Yeah, this is another case which I wanted to look, but I didn't have time. So we'll look into this right now, and I want to express my thoughts on that. So what this stuff is doing, so this PR by Steve, where he adds support, or not adds, but fix custom AMI bootstrap process. So the way how it works is that when we have node groups launch template, we are making cloud init config in very, well, not very, but rather obfuscated way. We are using cloud init config file instead of using template function or template file function and then base 64 it. I don't know what's the benefit, to be honest, in using this data source and not template file function, but maybe there is a way. I mean, maybe there is a solution for reason for that. Anyway, the problem which I wanted to highlight here is related to the fact, yeah, this one. So user data should template. Here, like, you don't have to look into all of this to understand it, but just think about when you see this template files, and in general when you work with any programming language or Terraform or Terragrunt or anything, is it better for you to see a lot of internal structures like if, for, template, or some other features of the programming languages, or would you rather use approach which is, well, at least for me, it came from Python. Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness, or something like that, where instead of doing if lengths of this pre-user data more than 0, then pre-user data. Why not just try to output pre-user data? If it's empty, great. If it's not empty, great, then output it. So when I see something like if, or especially, it happens quite often with people who are not familiar how this data is actually coming into the module, or where it was overwritten or combined or some other things. They just want to make like safety net on the very low level and say like, oh, somewhere here, if it was specified, then do this. I don't like this if statement here because it's not necessary here. So I asked to remove it, and here he said, but it's tidy. Well, tidy is exactly without this. That's has consistent white space. Well, white space is probably the last thing which I care about inside of, well, is it last thing? Yeah, it is the last thing, absolutely. I mean, if it would be Kubernetes manifest, then yes, of course, I would care about formatting. But in shell, as long as it's new line, then it's okay. If there are 20 new lines in between, that's also fine. So yeah, that's yeah, we'll ask, or I will remove this myself. I think it's not a big deal, and it also makes it clear in the template that it is an optional variable. Well, this is not making it clear that this is optional value, because pre-user data is coming from value. So it's not using lookup like here. Here AMI ID is optional, and if it's not specified, then it will be empty. But here it is actually required. So if there is no pre-user data key inside of this value, it will fail. So anyway, this is a small thing which is quite easy to fix. I will improve it, or maybe not improve it, but I will make it to look a little bit nicer and smaller. So, and on this note, I think it's smart to put my thoughtful face here again, because camera, well, I can put background. Well, that's it. I want to thank everyone for attending this one, and yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Maybe I can click here. No. Well, funny. So my camera apparently doesn't want to work. Okay, then see you next week, and next week we'll be talking about Crossplane together with Viktor Farsic. Bye bye. I'm waving to everyone. Bye.